Did money make you happy?
I'm a New Yorker, and I know BS. First, I asked him how much was it, and he said $45 million. And then I said, how many people won? And he said, one. And, that would be me. She said, what are you saying? I said, I think I won the lottery. And at the top of her voice, she goes, you won the lottery? She still didn't believe that I wasn't fucking around with her. You just won $45 million. Your life is about to change. As I'm sitting in coach, it dawned on me, I could probably afford first class. I went, okay, this is good having money.
Money does help and fix a lot of things. What did it not fix?
Well, I'm still fat.
How long would you say that you kind of chauffeured people?
People can't take advantage of me unless I'm aware they're taking advantage of me, and for some reason I'm liking it.
So it's safe to say you're not one of the winners who went broke. It sounds like you're still doing pretty well.
You know what? I have...
Wait, are you being serious though? Or are you joking around? Some winners say this is all attributed to God. I'm blessed. Some people say, hey, it's pure luck. How do you make it out to be? Mr. John Falcon, thank you so much for joining the BW Report. Can you walk us through what led up to that moment? What was your life before the lottery? And then walk us through the day you won.
Well, prior to winning, which was the 90s, because I won in October. I think I won Halloween night, 1999. I really had the best job I ever got. I worked for a textbook company, and I was a computer inputter. Then one day, I played. I've been playing this. I was playing the same numbers for 2.5 years, and I was at work that Monday. Meanwhile, I think I won that Saturday. So there was a few days where I had won but had no idea. And I was at work on Monday, and I booted down my computer because those were the days where you actually had to boot down your computer. And a little voice, which I attribute to my grandmother, said to me, "Go check the numbers." And I'm like, I'm saying now, I'm standing, I'm arguing. I'm having an internal argument with myself. No, don't do it. You'd have to pull out your pass. You'll have to go through the sea of desks and cubicles and to get to my cubicle. And then I would have to reboot my computer because in those days you had to reboot your computer and it was a big deal. And, but something told me, and I think my grandmother said, "Stop it, go!" And then of course I walked through my Gilbert land, got to my computer, rebooted it, went to my Yahoo page, by the way, and went to the little section I had that was for lottery and clicked on that and saw my numbers. And my numbers were a combination of my old addresses. And, the two addresses when I was a kid and the address I was living at that time. And I knew the numbers by heart. I took out my ticket from my put it up there, and yes, they matched. And at that moment, my boss was walking by with a handful of manuscripts, because that's what we dealt with, were manuscripts. And she was just boggled down with it. I said, "Lori, come in here." And she's like, "John, what? What do you want?" And I said, "Just come in here and look at this." We were friends, so I could talk to her in this way. Anyway, and so she has the manuscripts in her hand, and I had the paper and I put it up to the screen. And I said, "Look at that." And she looks at it and she goes, and knowing that at that time I was somewhat of a hack, she said, "Listen, John, I don't have time for any of your jokes." And I said, "I think I won the lottery." So you could hear like a giant, like she was dropping bricks. She puts down the manuscripts, grabs the ticket out of my hand and puts it underneath the thing. And she goes, "John," that's when she said it, "John, what are you saying?" And I said, "I think I won the lottery." And so we both just stood there looking. And then I said to her, "I don't know what to do next." And of course, she being the boss said, "Go, get the information on the lottery office, the main lottery office, and give them a call." And it was like 5:15 now, so 5 something. And I figured the lottery office was just like us, 5 o'clock, they're out of there, you know? So I didn't think anyone was going to answer, but someone did. And so I said to him, hi, I think I won the lottery. What do I do? And the guy says, go to where you bought it and they will give you money. And they said, well, no, I think I won the big, lottery. And he said, well, where did you buy your ticket? And I said, I think I bought it on the West 70s. And he says, no, that's not where the ticket was bought. And I said, and yet I still have it in my hand. And he said, there's a 5-digit number on the upper right-hand corner. And I read him the numbers, and he said, yes, that's the winning ticket. I said, how many people won? He said, one. And I said, well, how much was it? How much should we? First I asked him how much was it, and he said $45 million. And then I said, how many people won? And he said, one. And that would be me. So I kind of went a little dizzy. And I turned to Lori and I said, Lori, I won the lottery. And she still didn't believe that I was not screwing with her. What, is it a nice family show? Am I?
No, you're fine. Unfiltered,
Oh,
uncensored.
oh, thank you. She still didn't believe that I wasn't fucking around with her. And so she kind of just, when I have too much work, she picked up her manuscripts and left. And so I was supposed to meet some friends that evening at the theater, which was on East 3rd Street, which, if you know anything about New York City, is quite a distance.
Hmm.
And I was a zombie, so I just walked and walked and walked. I did go into a store though to get a copy of the winning ticket, the winning numbers, because I would now have to explain to my two friends why we're not going to the theater that night, because there's no way I could sit still for 2 hours, and watch something. And it turned out to be much easier than I thought. I got there, and my first friend was there, and Thayer, whose house I went to first. And I said, Thayer, follow me. And I knew there was a bodega on the corner. And I went to the bodega and I said to her, be very sotto voce. Don't don't scream or yell out anything. I showed her the winning numbers, and then I took out the ticket from my fuzzy and I showed her my ticket. And she looked at it and she goes, what? What are you showing me? What? And I said, well, don't you see the numbers match? And she said, what are you saying? They all said this. I said, what are you saying? I said, I think I won the lottery. And at the top of her voice in the bodega, she goes, you won the lottery? I think the coin stopped the guy who was tossing the coin stopped in midair. It was just, everyone turned and looked, and I said, we got to go. We got to do it now. And, and I dragged her out. And then the friend we were waiting for, we saw her coming, and she said, let me tell her. And she ran over to tell. But the fact that everyone believed me so quickly, I mean, I would be so skeptical. But the fact that they believed me so quickly was really an interesting study in human nature or whatever. The next day, we actually took the subway, if you can believe this. I just won $45 million, and no one could pin, no one wanted to take a taxi. And then we all went down by subway to the lottery office, which was all the way downtown. Stood on line. So I stood on line with a woman who was, I think, breastfeeding 6 children at one time. And behind me, a guy whose odors were not exactly perfumery odors. And I'm standing there with my two friends, and we get to this guy, and I give him the ticket. He looks at the ticket. He goes, congratulations. And then he says, wait here. And my two girlfriends said, where's he going with that ticket? But of course, he came out and brought me in the back. The head of the lottery, of the New York State Lottery, was on vacation for 2 weeks. They asked me not to say anything for 2 weeks while the woman who was in charge of the lottery was on her vacation. And so, I mean, now I advise people to say, yeah, let's do that. But first, put money in my bank. Put the money in my bank. I won't tell anyone. And I'll hold the big giant check, like I'm just getting the money now. But you give me my money now.
So they
However,
they they waited the whole time?
2 weeks to give me my money. For 2 weeks, I was the poorest little rich boy in New York City. And I remember I never went back to work, by the way. I just never went back. I never went to the building. But I also didn't have any cash. Fortunately, I had put in some overtime, and that check came in, I'd say, after a week. It came in, and I was able to, live off of that. But it was 2 weeks of zombie like behavior for me. I mean, I just was walking in a daze, couldn't sleep. The day finally came around when they were going to have this press conference at Gray Advertising, and I had to um go there, whatever. And they said to me not to expect too much. It'd probably be, on page 8 or page 12. It's not going to. Da, da, da. But what they didn't realize is that I'm a very funny guy, and so the press conference went, and I made reporters laugh. I think they were, and so the next day when which was a Saturday, and I went down to my local little newsstand to get coffee. Newsstands are where they used to sell newspapers, kids. Anyway, and I went down to my newsstand, and around the entire newsstand, I was on the cover of the New York Post and the New York Daily News at the same day. And my whole face was covering the front of this newsstand. And meanwhile,
Wow.
there are people kept walking by me and trying to buy things and just like pushing me aside, buying the newspaper with my face on it, but not acknowledging the fact that I'm standing right there. And of course, I didn't want to tell anyone. So I was like, okay, you go, lady, go first.
John, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So you won 45 million, and
Yes.
throughout that entire time that you were describing to me, your friends' reactions, they're the ones in shock. They're the ones yelling, "You won the lottery."
Yes.
For you, was it more of a shock, or did you also have that ecstatic, "Oh
No.
my God, I can't believe I won"?
No. It was nothing like that. It was I was much introverted, quiet. I wasn't really, didn't really want to go out. I didn't, I was, well, first of all, it wasn't that I didn't really go out. I just wasn't sleeping because you just won $45 million, so, and your life is about to change. It's about to change. Things are, and so it's not that I didn't want to go out. I just was not rested to go out because I couldn't
Right.
sleep, you know, and, and I think that lasted a good month, where I was just completely, out of it.
Did you take the lump sum or the annuity?
I took the annuity, and
Really?
yes, and I'll tell you why people should take the annuity if they're young enough. If I were to win the lottery today at 70, there's no point in me taking the annuity. So I would just take the lump sum. But if you're younger, if you're like in your 40s, um, on back, take the annuity. And I'll tell you why. Because number one, you're going to get half. Let's say you win $10 million. If you take the annuity, you're definitely going to get five. If you take the lump sum, you probably will only have gotten two, right? Because they give you the money that's in the bank that's going to equal what you won in 26 years. So if I had taken the lump sum, I would have only gotten $9 million. Now that I took the annuity, I got 22.5. That's after
If
taxes.
and this was a 1999 win?
Yes.
So you're all paid out now, pretty much.
I got my last check on November 15th, 2024.
Was it a big celebration, or was it like, "Oh gosh, I this is the last one"?
No, it was Dante's Inferno Ring 5, where dragging a giant boulder up a hill. No, it was not a happy occasion for me. It wasn't a sad occasion either, because I'm not an idiot. There's money, there's monies, and but I mean, to get a stipend just for existing for 26 years is sort of like there's not a bad thing in that, you know. And the reason I did that, by the way, also for young folk who may win, and young folk, I mean anyone from 40, from 50 down. Um, you know, you can screw up one year and still know you have a check coming. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you
Hmm.
screw up on an annuity, that's it. You screwed up. There's no more money. But with
Or screwed up on a lump sum, you mean?
on a lump sum is what I meant to
Yeah.
say. Yes. If you screw up on a lump sum, then you've just lost your money.
It sounds like it's an anecdotal experience. Did you have a year where, you're like, oh goodness, but thank God I have more?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because when I won, I was 44.
Mm.
So at 44, I had already, um, you know, I've already did my stupid stuff, and I had, I lived through the 70s. I did drugs. I had too much sex. There was really nothing. I don't know how to drive because I'm a New Yorker. So I never learned how to drive. And there's a whole bunch of us, and still very intelligent. We just don't know how to drive. Where are we going to go? New Jersey? So and so a car was not, an option for me, and neither was a boat or anything like that. I did buy two beautiful watches, but and I bought art. I bought art, and so the art is what I'm using now. I bought it all as an investment. I don't know how the current world situation is going to affect the art world, but I do want to come September start calling auction houses and seeing if we can auction off the art. That's exactly why I bought it. And
So it's safe to say you're not one of the winners who went broke. It sounds like you're still doing pretty well.
you know what? I have enough money now to last me a few years. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
you're being sarcastic, right? You probably good for the till the end of life,
well,
right?
listen, uh, girl, I'm 70. I could be dead in 10 years. Ozzy Osbourne just died at 76. Of course, he
Uh,
and I did not live the same lifestyle,
right.
but who knows when I'm going to go? So, what if I live to be 95? I don't think I have enough until 95. But you know, you know,
Wait, are you being serious though? Or are
uh,
you joking around?
no, I don't think I have enough to live till 95. No, and 90.
Even with your investments? I mean, I honestly, I'm with taking the annuity and the strategy behind that, and some of the investments that you get into the market. You have any like Roth
Where,
or
first of
401k?
all, where
Yeah.
do you think the market's going to be in 3 years?
There's a lot of projections and theories for that. I mean, some are
Yes.
saying it's going like this, some is saying crypto might do that, some is saying it
Crypto
might.
is like Ponzi scheme. So I mean, let's just there's going to be a crypto crash that's just going to because you're buying nothing. You're really
Yeah.
people who are buying Orange Man's crypto money right now is buying nothing. They're not buying anything of value. But of course, I know you're talking about the bitcoins and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
crypto is really there's nothing behind crypto, just like there was nothing behind the subprime mortgages. I thought about it for 6 months. I could have thought about it for a little longer, but I thought about it for 6 months and I sold everything. And what happened was maybe a year later, um, 2008 happened. The crash happened. I was in London. Lehman Brothers just completely crashed. No more Lehman Brothers. But I didn't lose a penny.
Money does fix a lot of things. Some people could disagree, but hey, money does help and fix a lot of things. What did it not fix for you?
Well, I'm still fat. I mean, when I won the lottery, I wasn't this heavy. But I will say to you this that I have never been a junk food eater, even though I'm drinking this blue thing. That's just to get electrolytes. but but um, I've been many sizes, many different, you know, I haven't been always this heavy, but the last few years, I just said to screw it. And so I've had like there's no junk food here. There's no potato chips and frankfurters or anything. This is the best food on earth that I've been eating. I'm eating Michelin star restaurants, great restaurants and and all over the world. Uh, so if you're the question was what haven't I been able to change with money, and I guess my weight.
Most lavish purchase you've made after winning the lottery?
Well, I guess it would have to be one of my apartments. No, um, I bought 4 apartments. The most lavish one, the most really, I mean, where I'm living now is very beautiful as well. I mean, and this one's probably worth the most money. So I would have to say apartments. I bought an apartment in New York. I had an apartment in Miami, of which I sold you, but that was an absolutely gorgeous apartment with it had a 6,000 square foot terrace.
What was the absolute worst purchase that you've ever made after winning the lottery?
Worst purchase.
Maybe this is easier. Worst investment.
Worst investment. Jesus. What is the worst investment I have made? I'm sure that there is one, but I can't think of one. Oh, I do have a funny one.
Okay.
Okay. When I first decorated this apartment, when I moved into this apartment in 2002, and at that time, um, a 60-inch television was such a novelty, was such a new technology that it was $20,000. And I bought a 20,000 curse, 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 curse television to put into my living room. And it cost me $20,000 until finally, you know, you could buy a brand new one for, 2,000, I don't know how much this one costs. It's a 60-inch television.
I know in the beginning when you were talking about winning the lottery, you were talking about the way that you knew that it was going to have some change there's going to be change in your life. It was going to change an aspect of your life.
And
Besides
only
the
not just one. No, it changed every aspect of my.
can you share, I mean, obviously financially, what other parts of your character or the way you went out or your taste in the things that you bought or your mentality, how did it impact that?
Well, I mean, to put that into a tangible story, like the first trip I took, Key West. I just needed to
Mm.
get away. From there, we drove to Miami, where I brought my sister and my niece and nephew. And then I'm on the plane back to New York City. As I'm sitting in coach, it dawned on me, hey, I could probably afford first class. But it was a process. Like that whole trip I did. I mean, we stayed at nice hotels, but I went down there on coach. I went home on coach. I mean, and it was that trip was the trip that said, wait a minute, I could afford to travel first class and stay at really good 5-star hotels instead of the nice 4-star hotels I'm staying in. And it really was that trip that changed me. I got myself a concierge and we booked me a 4 or 5 week trip to Europe and everything first class, best hotels, and a trip I still remember vividly. And when I got home, I said, okay. And when I got home and I could still pay all my bills, I was, I wasn't broke. The trip didn't break me. I went, okay. all right, this is good having money. Yeah. you know, and also at the time I had to, I was living in a 4-4 walk up on East 82nd Street, which was one of the numbers that I won with. It was 322 East 82nd. I played 322. So, because as I said, it was a combination of my addresses.
Wow.
Yeah.
John, you think the lottery win made you a happier person?
Oh, yes.
Honestly.
Yes. You have to ask me the question this way. Does money make you happy? Okay.
Did money make you happy?
Yes. Money made me happy. People who are unhappy when they get money are going to be happy no matter what. They're going to be more unhappy, making stupid decisions. Da, 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 da. Money made me very happy. I am so sad there's no check next year. there was there wasn't a bad thing that happened to me that was caused by the money. I mean, my parents passed away. This was difficult. But it would have been more difficult if I didn't have money, right?
Right.
Because I was able to go to where they lived in Florida and stay for months at a hotel, as they were passing. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without money. I would have been in New York. They probably would have had to pay for my ticket to come down to stay, and I wouldn't have been able to stay. I would have had to work. So yes, I mean, bad things happened in my life, but bad things that happen in everyone's life. We all have loved ones who are going to pass away, and da da da. But none of that was caused because of the money. But it made it easier. The money made those things easier to deal with.
What have you learned about life? I mean, going from hustling from a 9 to 5, winning the lottery, completely flipping the script, and having a lot of things basically within arm's reach, a lot of opportunities that opened up. What have you learned about life through this experience, John?
You can still have money and be an asshole. So I mean, therefore your relationships are not going to be great. I happen to have friends still who knew me before I won, and then I have new friends that I made after I won. So people always say, "Well, aren't you afraid that they're there for your money?" And I'm like, "Listen, as long as I'm enjoying and having a good time, and I'm not stupid, I'm not going to buy someone a house." Um, Although my partner, who we've been together 13 years, I did pay for his schooling, but he's my partner, and he went to
Yep.
he graduated Loyola Law. He's taking the bar next week, so
Very cool.
it is very cool. And so he's sort of my lottery because law and can be crazy stupid money. So let's see what he does with it.
John, as I've interviewed folks within the lottery space, either a winner or some of the experts, they talk about anonymity. They talk about people, changing addresses, keeping a very low profile. I got to say, you don't seem like you're someone who keeps a low profile. It seems like you really put yourself out there, not running around saying, "Hi, I won the lottery." But it sounds like because of the
No,
press
no,
conference.
I did because I then did a commercial for the New York State Lottery, and the
Really?
commercial ran for 2.5 years. Somewhere every 15 minutes, this commercial was playing somewhere in New York State for about 2.5 years. And so um, it was difficult to be a bad boy if if everyone recognizes you. And
Right.
I will say that when they asked me to do another commercial, I turned them down. The being a little bit anonymous was what I wanted to have happen. And but for the first 2.5 years after I did the commercial, it was I walked down and it's these taxi drivers, policemen, firemen. These are the professions that remember you, and they're the ones who wave at you and hey, it's the lottery guy. Da, 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 da. But I couldn't go into a bar. You know, I mean, you know what I mean, a bar. you know, without someone coming up to me and
How long would you say that you kind of chauffeured people? You kind of gave them a good time. Dinners were on you. How long did that last for until you were like, okay, let's come back to the drawing books?
Well, no one ever took advantage of me. People can't take advantage of. Let me just speak for myself. People can't take advantage of me unless I'm aware they're taking advantage of me, and for some reason I'm liking it. So, in other words, if is there something beautiful standing in front of me naked, and they need shoes? Who am I to say let's not go buy some shoes? Do you know what I mean? So it all depends on the. But there's not there isn't a family of hillbillies who who work. Let's put it this way. My immediate family, of course, yes, I send them. But both my niece, I sent my niece to college, and I helped my nephew with college. He's a veteran, so he had the Viet
Mm,
vet school money. But
mhm.
but by doing that, he had a daughter and a kid. So of course, I gave them money so they could some money so they could live. And my niece, I sent to college. She has no what do you call it, loans, no student loans to worry about. So of course, with that is more than happy to do it, and more than things. But there was no one else. The boyfriend, yes, but the partner. We've been together for 13 years now, and he takes the bar next week. Uh, but I can't think of anyone else that uh, I gave money to, or bought stupid things with, or yeah. No one has gotten over him. I'm a New Yorker as well. So, I mean, I know BS when yeah, BS is not what comes out of out of your mouth. BS is how you're saying it. And a New Yorker knows that, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. What your stance is, where you're looking, where you da, da, da. So, no one could get over on me, really. I was never um, cheated out of anything. So,
And you gave us a little perspective of the benefits of winning when you're 44. You're not 24, so you're not going splurging or being vulnerable to those kind of situations.
yes.
John, let me ask you this. What's been the hardest part about getting nearly $1 million paychecks every year for the last, more than 20 years now? Is there a hard part about
Yes.
getting,
Not getting it anymore is
yeah.
the hardest part of, of getting it. Getting it was fabulous. Not having a check coming next November 15th is the worst part of getting. There has not been, I know everyone asks me this question. They want me to go, oh my God, I don't know what they want me to say. But I mean, no, there has been no downsides caused by winning the lottery.
The reason I ask, and I'll say this, the reason I ask is because some people say that the managing of a large sum of money can be difficult, but it sounds like, do you have a team of people that have helped
Yes.
with this? Okay. What does that look like?
Yes. Well, I mean, the just to take you back to the beginning of this whole interview, the two friends that I was going to go to the theater with, the two ladies, were two very wealthy ladies, and their husbands were wealthy businessmen. One was a lawyer, one was a, and they are the ones who got me a personal banker. They are the ones who got me a tax lawyer. They got me an accountant. They got me everything that I needed to. Plus, I had a shop in the '80s for about 10 years, and I had a bookkeeper, and she was actually the first person I called because I figured I'm going to need someone to keep track of all this stuff. So, with knowing the bookkeeper who's been in my life forever, and still she was here yesterday. She's still doing my books. Uh, However, my accountant, um, Saul, um, who uh, anyway, I don't want to say too much, but my accountant Saul, who was great, you know, selfishly passed away, and I'm really, really pissed at him for that because he left me out here like it. I do have a new accountant, but we won't discuss him, and
Okay.
because he just got hacked. He
Oh
just
no.
his whole thing just got hacked.
Oh
So
no.
I had to do all of this stuff. Anyway, and then my tax attorney, um, uh, she retired, and then she gave me this other person who I really have no relationship with. But I will say this because if what you're asking me is what if you win a large sum of money, what are the first things that you need to do?
Hmm.
And I will give you a little bit of a list. And the first thing you do is learn how to say no, because everyone's going to ask you for money. Family, cousins you haven't seen in 10 years are going to come and ask you for money. You make sure that you define who your core family members are. I'm assuming they're your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. And that's it. Everyone else, no. That includes charity. Charities are also, their hands are just as big as anyone else's. You decide what charities are important to you and you stick to those charities. And with depending on how much you win, charities are a good way to get a good tax write off. So, charities I say yes to, but you can't say yes to every charity. You pick the charities, stick to those charities. Don't go out with someone else. Don't go crazy with someone else. Find a good tax attorney. You're going to need a tax attorney. Find a good lawyer. That's the tax attorney. Find a good accountant is what I meant to say. A good accountant, and then find a good bookkeeper. What's the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant? A bookkeeper will come to your house weekly and look at your expenditures and try to put them in categories. And this is all what he or she would then give to the accountant so that the accountant can do your taxes. And you can discuss what can be deducted and not deducted. Da, 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 da. That's
Yeah.
that's that's the thing. Also, start a business. If you start a business, um, uh, you can deduct a lot more business expenses if you start some sort of a business.
Great tips. I'm gonna watch back this portion of the interview in case if I ever hit big.
Okay. Well, I wish that
uh,
for you. If you do, you owe
Thank
me
you.
a lobster Diablo.
Hey, you got it. Hey, that'll be easy peasy, no problem.
Easy
John,
peasy.
what's the biggest misconception someone has about you after you won the lottery? What are misconceptions people have, or assumptions that are typically associated with making it into
Assumptions
big
are
money?
well. First of all, I just don't think that I'm a personality that people knows exist. I'm not like the average Joe. So people don't know what to make of me. Um, I do know that when dealing with, let's say, corporate people, depending on what they tend to underestimate me, and that's worked in my favor many times. It's better to be smart and underestimated than it is to be overestimated. If you're underestimated, you're really going to see what people are made of and what they're going to try to get away with. Um, so be the smart one. I mean, learn your. I wish I had learned more about investing actually than I did. I learned how to invest in art, and we'll see this this winter or spring or whenever the auction will be, whether I did a good job with the art because I'm planning on selling it all, and it was bought for that reason. So it's not like and
You and I have both seen videos about some winners say, "Hey, this is all attributed to God. I'm blessed." Some people say, "Hey, it's pure luck." How do you make it out to be? Was this the
I
blessing of
think
a
it's
higher
pure
power?
dumb luck. Yes. I mean, I don't want to get into a religious discussion, but I just think it was just luck. And let's put it this way: if I knew how to do it again, I would do it. Right? So Um, as so, I I'm not going to attribute it to any divine intervention or anything like that. Even though I went to a Catholic school, um, I'm not going to do that. It was just dumb luck.
So you're one lucky bastard. Is that fair to say? You
I am
lucky
one
bastard.
lucky bastard. Yes, in many ways, by the way. Yeah, so not just monetarily, but
You said if you could do it again, you would. Do you still play the lottery or have you stopped?
no. I actually I don't play. I mean, I used to play weekly, and I used to play the same numbers, and which were, as I said, an amalgamation of my old addresses. However, when the lottery is $300 million, I mean, what is $6? I mean, you know, I mean, it's not like I'm going to go and spend $300 on lottery tickets. No, I still buy like three. I play three games or whatever it is, and we'll see what happens. For $6, it's fine. I mean,
And
I'm
you
not.
always pick your own numbers or do you ever do the quick pick if you're in a rush?
Well, I don't. I never did quick pick, but the statistics show that just as many people win with quick pick as they do with picking their own numbers. So uh, there is uh, and you know what? I didn't play it this week. There was a fortune cookie that that I got a couple of years ago from a fortune cookie, and they seemed like good numbers, and I was playing them. But now, as I'm thinking about it, because I didn't, I did play this week because the thing, the Mega Millions is 300 million, and then Powerball is 100 and something million, and I figured, well, all right, I'm 70. I have 10 good years left. I mean, let's see what trouble I can get into. So I did play this week, but I did not play. I forgot to play the fortune cookie number.
John, look, we've been trying to set up this interview for a while. I said, "Hey, John, are you available?" He said, "I got to check my schedule," and you have to, you have people looking into what days and times you can, be available for this. Again, I'm so appreciative that you joined. But I say all this to say, you're not just relaxing every day. You are working really hard on a few different projects. Can you
Yes,
talk about what those endeavors are like?
yes. Well, I do have something called Chulo Productions. Is that just going to come out backwards? Is that
No, no, no. Leave it up there for a second, and
okay?
viewers could yeah.
Yes, and there you'll see
Okay.
my music, and you'll see it's free. There's no charge for anything. But you'll see some of my music videos that I put together. Also, there's what I just showed you, my movie. This is the poster for the movie, and we're trying to get this into Sundance. I also have an album, a vinyl.
Whoa.
Yes. And it's available on Spotify and I'm Apple Music and everything. But I really wanted to do vinyl. I'm a child of the vinyl and I want to do vinyl. And we're coming out with the second one. This one is about 2 years old. And the second one should be coming out this year. And that one's called Flashback. This one's called Decades.
So is that you in different stages of life, is what I'm gathering?
Yes, this is me when I was 6 years old. Who knew that would turn into this? Anyway, and here I am at 19 during the
Yes.
70s. My feet never touched the ground. And then this is me in my 30s. And this is me now, a few years ago.
Okay.
And yes, it's called Decades. And if you wanted to purchase it, you can purchase it on that
Yeah, the
QR code
QR
thing.
code.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is
I'll
available to
put
purchase
it
there.
up as well. What genre is this?
There's like new music on here. I do a version of Madonna's. You'll see, but I do it as classical music. So Cy Johnson, who I think I mentioned before, he did the orchestration, and everything is live music. Nothing is uh, virtual. It's all musicians in a studio. Me singing. Uh, uh, Catch Me is the video that if you go onto my site, it'll be the first video. And that video I'm so proud of because of the work I did with his name was Rivera, Paul Rivera, I think. And his work was just so beautiful that I love that. I love that video so much. And then in passing years, it's in the movie, Abandoned Memories, but everything else is and Stairway to Paradise is also in the movie as well, and that's but
So
it's more classic jazz cabaret kind of stuff.
you're following your dreams, you're continuing to do your endeavors, and very busy. Fascinating story, John. I really, really appreciate you joining me for the BW report.
All right, you have a good night, you and your lovely wife. And if you need a good restaurant in New York City, I mean, do you live in New York City? No.
No, I'm in the West,
Oh,
but
you're in
if
the
I
West.
ever
Okay.
am up that way, I'll definitely ask for recommendations.
Yes, because I have a list. I think so. Okay, you go and have a good night.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
Take care.
hang up first because I don't know how to do it.